Binky Felstead was one of the original cast members of the reality show Made in Chelsea in 2011. She quickly became a fan favourite and soon got her beloved mum Jane involved too. But behind the scenes, Jane was struggling with symptoms that had plagued her most of her adult life. And in 2017, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Binky and Jane join us now. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you very much.
Jane, you were diagnosed when you were 65 in 2017. I had never heard of such a late diagnosis. Is that unusual?
I don't think it is. It would be now. But back in the day when because don't forget I'm quite old, back in the day it was quite common for somebody to go to the doctor and say, look, I've got these symptoms, and then ignore them completely. The doctor would ignore them totally because they would say, well, you know, wouldn't even think that I could possibly have that. And so, of course, I wasn't diagnosed. I wasn't diagnosed for 4 years. I went everywhere. Eventually, I was told I was working too hard. I was not working enough. I've got mental health problems. I've got everything. I've got fibromyalgia. Was a big problem.
What kind of symptoms were you experiencing?
What? Sorry, lovey?
What kind of symptoms were you experiencing?
Well, then at the end, I was beginning to trip over, which was a big giveaway. I'd already, when I had Binks, gone blind in both eyes, really.
Gosh.
Which is optic neuritis. And that was a big giveaway, and somebody should really have picked up on that, but they never did. And I just think now, of course, people write to me and they've all been diagnosed far earlier because people are looking out for it more now. But back then, it was, you know, there's no point.
And what were your symptoms? Because right from 17 you were having symptoms.
I had my first episode when I was 17 in Selfridges at Christmas time. And I became terribly overwrought. I knew my mother was going to be cross because I wasn't outside in time for her to pick me up, and everything was just getting too much. And I remember suddenly my eyes swelling up and feeling really, really overwrought. And then my body came up with this big sort of welts. It was horrible.
Oh,
and I know I'd never heard of no one's ever said, oh, that's classic, MS. Of course, they've never said that to me anyway. But that was pretty unpleasant. And then I went home and was told that, oh, yes, you know, give her some antidepressants. That was a big thing. I was 17. Big thing. They'd give her some antidepressants and take her somewhere calm. She'll be all right. And that's what I always had. There was never any understanding of anything.
So, I mean, Binky, that must have had an effect on family life.
Yes, obviously, not only do I feel incredibly sorry for Mummy, it feels like some of her freedom's been taken away, because you're very much a young soul still.
Absolutely.
And so Mummy mentally is, you know, probably my age still. I mean, you were coming to the, you know, parties with all my friends. And,
and clubbing. I was so
yes,
lucky.
you're very good at clubbing, actually. A little bit too good at clubbing. And obviously now she's unable to be there for the nearly 8 grandchildren she has got. And although my boys absolutely love Gaga and her tractor.
Oh, really?
Of course, you know, you've only got one arm working now. And you're not able to get into their level to, you know, I feel like that really upsets you.
That's been one of the worst things of all, because as a granny, you always imagine yourself getting down to their level, or even picking them up when they're at a cop. I can never.
Them. Yeah, you're just like, just pass water to me. Sort of smell his head. And so
you've always been understanding of that, but yes, that's what I've missed out on, and being able to get there and actually put my arms around them or be trusted to have them on my lap. Can't do that.
So it must have been just astonishing when you got the diagnosis then. You had no, I mean, was there a mixture of relief that you finally knew what was wrong?
There was a massive relief.
Yeah.
Because up until then, bearing in mind I was 60, old I was, thought I was a hypochondriac. I've been accused of that so many times.
Oh, God.
Yes, and, oh, for God's sake. But the good thing is, had I known, the only good thing is, had I known I had MS, I would never have bothered to try doing it. I would never have gone skiing with the kids.
Oh.
I fell over all the time, but, you know, that's OK.
I just think you had too much champagne, really.
I was going to say, but everyone just think you were drunk.
Yes, it was. You just thought you had too much champagne.
They were so used to that, of course, not being drunk, of course. Never. But certainly, you know, me doing daft things. But, yeah, I mean, so I would never have done it.
That's so interesting. So with hindsight, almost the ignorance was bliss.
It really was.
Wow.
And I know I shouldn't really say that because a lot of people have written to me and said, if I'd known, I said, well, actually, you could have delayed the process. I could have delayed the process had I known. I might have, given up on the champagne for a while. I might not have eaten so badly.
Left hand still works to pick it up. That's the main thing.
Exactly. And there's been benefits. But I'm a bit of an optimist. You have to look at the bright side.
You both seem like you have a very, very close relationship with each other.
Yeah, we have actually.
How has your relationship changed now since your diagnosis, and now since you now know officially what's going on?
I don't feel like it's changed. I feel obviously the dynamic has changed a little bit. Whereas before, I used to go and if I was, wanting to have a mummy cuddle and, some home-cooked food, I'd rush over back, to yours and you'd look after me.
Yes.
And I feel like, obviously, you still are my mummy, of course, and we're not able to do as many...
I'm her mother in my head, and still, but of course, and I have all the same feelings, maternal instincts, but of course for Binky, it's altered because also I'm not as... Sorry, I'm being so rude. I'm not as accessible. Right. She can't ring me and say, come over now, because I have to think, how am I going to do that,
How frustrating must that be?
I feel like, selfishly, I'm angry still, and I'm still coming to terms with it all, because I don't like to say we were close, because of course we are close, but it is difficult, and I'm angry, not just for you, but for me and for the grandkids. But, I mean, the grandkids, obviously, the children don't think anything else, but of course we were together every day. You came up and lived with me for a bit in London.
I did, and I was there for the most important moments.
And it happened so quickly from the diagnosis. I didn't know what MS was. I had to, I was on Google immediately and trying to work out what it was and what it meant. And from having a crutch stick, you then very quickly were into a wheelchair. And now full-time care, everything's been adapted in your flat.
Where do you put that anger? Because, you're dealing with things as well.
I feel like therapy is brilliant for all of that. Everybody needs a therapist. And also just being, communicating.
But you've had the bits of your mum stolen from you that you thought you were going to have through her being a grandparent.
Yes. And I feel like that's where, I think that's where we need to communicate and make sure that...
Yeah, and you're so right saying that, because I don't think we did enough.
No, we didn't. It was funny for a little bit, wasn't it? I think
it was hilarious for a while,
No, not funny as in, like, ha-ha. It was very funny. It was more just kind of, I feel like we just
awkward
had to...
a bit.
It was a little bit uncomfortable, like... And I was really selfish, because I didn't know how to... I felt like I'd had something taken away from me.
And you're processing it.
Yeah, and I think I'm still processing it.
Because we always play the role of child.
Yes,
Mum will fix everything.
Yes, exactly.
Where's my mum?
This is it. And now I'm obviously a mummy of three. I just can't really imagine not being able to do the things that I want to do. Or, it's just, I feel like I feel so sorry for you that you've had your freedom taken away, and I'm angry for you. And I think there's luckily, I mean, to be honest, it happened so quickly. I feel like had you known before, I don't know how you would have been able to slow it down, really, because I don't think you were ever going to anyway. I think you would have still wanted to, do the things.
You could take drugs, wonderful drugs that now you could start earlier and get on the pathway.
Oh, so you could have done something to prevent things.
Oh, well, I couldn't necessarily prevent it. I could certainly slow it down. Yeah, that's what I would love to. I'd love to have known to be able to do that, because I never did. So. And the first thing you're told is, buy this book, buy that book. I was up to my eyes in books. They were all disgusting, eat brain food and God knows
Well, I tell you what, your sense of humour has not been one iota.
Thank you so much. But that is, in me, I'm still here.
I know, of course.
Yes. And that's been...
Unfortunately, we have to... Thank you both for being so honest and joining us here today. I mean, honestly, I know it's a very difficult situation, but I think lots of people will have found you both very inspirational.
Oh, thank you.
We wish you the very best for everything. Thank you. You can find more information on organisations supporting people living with multiple sclerosis on our website, itv.com/helplines.